When I left the Army, my uncle called me a coward, said trading a uniform for laptop babysitting was the dumbest thing I'd ever do. My entire family froze when his son stood up at Thanksgiving and said, "Uncle Chris? That after-school code club you mock? It's the only reason I have a career right now." Subscribe for more real stories that hit deep and stay with you. I'm Chris Molina, 36, living in San Antonio, Texas. I served 8 years in the U.S. Army. 2 tours, 1 Bronze Star. When I came home, I didn't feel like a hero. I felt hollow. I walked away from a federal security offer and started CodeCorps, a free after-school program teaching underserved kids how to code, think critically, and build real-world digital projects. Most of my family thought I'd lost my way. The truth? I finally found it. The day I turned down the federal job, I could hear my uncle's voice echoing in my head. "You're throwing away structure, purpose, stability, for what? Playing tech guru to a bunch of kids?" But the truth was, I'd already made up my mind long before the offer came in. After returning home, I visited the middle school I went to as a kid, still underfunded, still using ancient desktops. I saw kids trying to figure out a future with no tools in their hands. That was my turning point. I emptied my savings into some used laptops and reserved a back room at the community center, called it CodeCorps. The first week, only 3 kids showed up. 1 didn't speak, 1 didn't care, 1 asked if Minecraft counted as coding. Still, I showed up every day at 3:30 p.m. sharp. No pay, no staff. Just me, some basic Python tutorials, and the stubborn belief that you don't need to wear a uniform to serve your country. When word got around that I was teaching code to kids, the reactions were less than inspiring. At my cousin's birthday party, Uncle Ray, the same guy who cried during my deployment ceremony, loudly asked, "So, Chris, how's the babysitting business?" Everyone laughed. Even my dad cracked a smile, though he quickly looked away when I caught his eye. "I'm building something real," I said calmly, trying not to react. "Some of these kids might get jobs in tech one day." Ray smirked. "Sure, and maybe I'll become a ballet dancer." Nobody said a word after that. Later that night, my aunt pulled me aside. "Don't take it personally," she whispered. "They just don't understand what you're trying to do." That was the hardest part. These were the same people who used to cheer every time I came home in uniform. Now I was invisible. But the next day, one of my students, Miguel, asked if he could stay late to finish his first website. He'd designed a homepage for his grandma's tamale business. That meant more than applause ever could. Miguel became my anchor. At first, he barely said a word. Head down, hoodie up, always on the edge of disappearing. But the moment he started building something that mattered to him, his grandma's website, he lit up like a switch flipped on. He came to every session, sometimes dragging 2 younger cousins with him. One day he stayed behind and asked, "Mr. Chris, could I ever work with computers?" "Like, for real?" I told him the truth. "You already are." That week I helped him apply to a summer coding camp, one of the few offering full scholarships. We spent 2 nights rehearsing his video submission. He got in. When I told him the news, he didn't say anything, just nodded. But the next day, he showed up with a thank you note in messy handwriting and a plastic-wrapped tamale. I still have the note. I still remember what it said. "Thanks for seeing me." That one line reminded me why I left everything behind. It was at Thanksgiving dinner when everything quietly cracked open. Uncle Ray was mid-rant about how kids today don't know how to change a tire, but they know how to program robots on their phones, when his son, my younger cousin Jordan, put down his fork and said, "Actually, I wouldn't have a job right now if it wasn't for Chris." The table went silent. Ray blinked. "What are you talking about?" Jordan looked right at him. Remember when I couldn't figure out what to do after high school? Mom made me go help Uncle Chris at the community center. I only went because it was that or working at the car wash. I remembered. Jordan had dragged his feet the whole time, until he started learning JavaScript. Until I caught him staying late, building a simple game just to prove to himself he could. He continued. I stuck with it. Took some online classes. Now I build interfaces for a local logistics firm, and I'm good at it, because of that babysitting business you always joked about. Ray didn't speak. Nobody did. That silence? It felt like a full standing ovation. A few weeks after Thanksgiving, I got an email from the local school district's superintendent. She'd heard about CodeCorps, from a student no less, and wanted me to speak at a district-wide educator summit. Me, a guy with no teaching degree, no chalkboard, just a handful of dusty laptops and a belief that code could rewrite futures. I almost declined. But then Miguel texted me out of the blue. I told my teacher, you're the one who taught me how to think like an engineer. Hope that's okay. So I said yes. I showed up in my best jeans and the only button-up shirt I owned. I talked about equity, about giving kids tools, not just rules. I told them how code gave me a second mission after the Army, and how I saw more courage in a shy 13-year-old pushing submit on his first website than I ever did in a room full of officers. When I finished, there was a pause, then a slow build of applause that filled the room. A few teachers lined up to ask how to bring CodeCorps to their schools. That was the day I realized. This wasn't just a project anymore. It was a movement. The next time I saw Uncle Ray was at my dad's birthday cookout. I was prepping the grill when he came over, holding 2 beers like a peace offering. Mind if I join you? He asked, quieter than usual. I nodded. He handed me a beer, then stared at the flames for a minute. I gave you hell, didn't I? He said finally. I shrugged. You weren't wrong to worry. I just knew I couldn't go back to pretending a cubicle or a contract made sense to me. He gave a small laugh. I thought you lost your edge when you left the Army. Turns out you just aimed it somewhere new. That hit deeper than he probably meant it to. He looked over at me. Jordan talks about you like you're some kind of wizard. Said you gave him a reason to stop drifting. I didn't know what to say. So I just said, he did the work. I just handed him the right tools. Ray raised his beer. Well, here's to tools that actually build something. We clinked bottles, and for once, no sarcasm followed. The school district launched a pilot program with CodeCorps across 5 middle schools. I trained the teachers, donated some refurbished gear, and watched the rooms fill with kids who reminded me of Miguel, of Jordan, of me. At the community center's end-of-year showcase, we invited families to see what the kids had built. Apps, websites, even basic games. The room buzzed with pride. Toward the end, a woman approached me in tears. "You're Mr. Molina?" she asked. "My daughter comes here. She used to be so withdrawn. Now she won't stop talking about how she wants to build things to help people." I nodded, speechless. She grabbed my hand. "Whatever this is, it saved her. Thank you." As she walked away, I saw my dad at the back of the room. He caught my eye and just nodded. The kind of nod men in my family reserve for something sacred. That night, as I locked up, I looked around the empty room and realized I didn't abandon the mission. I'd simply redefined it.